Hello everyone, this is Toyin, Christian transformational coach and the founder of the Navigate Way. So today I put up a post on my different social media platforms, and in that post I said, the Lord will answer your question. You just might not hear him above the noise. And I've had a few people reach out to me, send me private messages or make comments on the post on Instagram and on Facebook, in which they have asked questions about that what do you mean, Tony? How do you hear God's voice? How do you recognize that it's God that's speaking and it's not your mind that's speaking to you? Some people have said to me, Tony, I really want to hear God's voice. I've invested a lot of time and effort into trying to hear God's voice. It's just not happening for me. And I thought, sorry, my nose is a little bit nasal, so a little bit congested. Sorry about that. But I thought I'll come up here and just do a quick video to you guys about that. The Lord will answer your question. You just might not hear him above the noise. I'm going to give you a very personal example, of what I mean. And just to try and illustrate this, and then I'll also illustrate it using some examples in the Bible. The Lord will answer your question. You might just not hear him above the noise. One of the most important directives or pieces of direction that I got in my life, which was the choice of who to marry, I got at a time when I was very much backslidden. If you're a Christian, you know what that means. If you're not a Christian, it literally means it was at a time in my life when I was not walking with God. I wasn't living a life that was, good. You understand? I was doing a lot of things that I knew did not please God. I was very much outside of the way in which I know the God of the Bible wants me to live my life. I was being with the wrong people, in the wrong relationships, and doing the wrong things, filling my life with things that drew me away from God and made me the Lord of my life and not Christ the Lord of my life. So it was a hard time in my life. And basically, in the middle of all that, my husband, he's a childhood family friend, but he wasn't my friend personally, but I knew his family. And he moved to South Africa and he started studying, and we got in touch. It was the days of Yahoo Messenger. We got put in touch, and in our very first conversation, the very first conversation we had was on Yahoo Messenger, and we spent the next bunch of years chatting on Yahoo Messenger. The very first conversation we had was on Yahoo Messenger, and when we were having that conversation, remember, I was not close to God in any way. I had been a Christian. I had that foundation, but at the time, I was not close to God in any way. In my very first conversation with my husband, I had a knowledge in my spirit. I got a knowing in my spirit. I was told in my spirit by God, that is your husband. That's the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And I was shocked. I was like, what? I must have been like 19, 18. I was young, maybe 17. I was really young. What in the world? And I definitely was not walking with God at the time. The circumstances that were going on in my life right now did not even align with what God had just said to me. And God confirmed that to me. Over the years, even after that, I continued to remain in that state in my spirit. God confirmed it to me over and over. There were times when I would say, God, you've got to do something now to let me know that this is real. This is what you've just said to me is real. And he would do something to confirm it to me. The point I'm trying to make using that example is that I wasn't in the deepest spiritual state. As in, I wasn't in a holy, hallelujah sister type of state. But God had something to tell me, and he broke through the noise. He interrupted the noise of my life, and he said to me what he wanted to say. God will answer your question. You just might not hear him above the noise. I was able to hear him in that situation. I was able to hear him above the noise. And even for years thereafter, when I was not walking with God and I was not in a right relationship with God, he would send me messages. He would send me people to speak to me. He would find ways to reach me, to let me know, Toyin, listen, I love you, but I'm not going to condone this lifestyle that you've chosen. You need to get to the point where you choose me. You've got to choose me. I've got more for you. He found ways to get through to me. And there was a lot of noise in my life. But by the grace of God, I was able to hear his voice. And incrementally, and as the process of life happened, he started getting through the noise more and more. And I was able to hear, and I was able to finally respond incrementally also, because even my responding was a process. It didn't all happen once off, Now, even in the Bible, we see many examples of that. We see it many times when the children of Israel, were very, very far from God and doing all sorts of things, and God will reach out to them. They would be defiling themselves. They'll be doing the things that, were in accordance with, they'll be living like the heathen people around them. And they were really in a very bad state. And the Lord would say to them, come back to me. He would send them messages. He would send them prophets. He would send them all sorts of messages so that they would know. And he would literally interrupt the noise because there was a lot of noise. But they had to make choices. Are they going to allow their noise to be interrupted? They're hearing many, 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 many voices. The voices of the world, the voices of the people that are around them, and the voice of God. They would have to make the choice. Are they going to recognize this voice of God? And are they going to do something about it? And that's what that post means. Even my voice speaking to you now is your noise being interrupted. That is your noise being interrupted. The Lord is speaking to you now and saying, listen, there's too much noise in your life. You need to declutter. You need to actually think about the various things that are informing your life, informing your mind, informing the things that you spend your time on, informing things that you spend your time thinking on, the narratives that you have built your life around. You need to think about it. You need to do something about it, because I want to be the only voice. I want to be the only voice. I want to be the voice that determines the other voices that you choose to listen to in your life. And that's what the Lord is saying to you now. And are you going to listen? That's the question. You have an opportunity now to practice listening to the voice of the Lord. And I'm just a tool. I'm just a mouthpiece. Do you understand? Just like you can be a mouthpiece, for you to ask yourself, am I going to allow the Holy Spirit, the Lord, to interrupt the noise? And am I going to actually listen to what it is that He has to say? I'll do another video shortly.